This video will discuss how to move classes from a GUI executable to a dynamic link library. And so the first thing we want to do before we start anything is just make sure that our program's running beforehand, and so that we'll know that any changes that we make will have been made by our changes and not because there's something wrong with the project. So it's working the way that it is, but now we want to move these classes into a dynamic link library. So how do we do it? First step, we go into File and we go to Add, and we want to add a new project. Be sure we have a class library, and then call the library something meaningful like Student DLL. Okay? And now we have created Student DLL. We have a class that's been created for us called Class 1. We don't really need Class 1, but what we're going to do to make our job easier, we're just going to copy the namespace command that's here. So then once we do that, we can delete Class 1. And what we want to do then is take these classes that have been created and that we want to move, and we will cut and paste them into Student DLL. So they're now in the Student DLL. And then what we need to do, because it was created originally in the grading namespace, we need to change all of the namespaces to Student DLL. So we should be able to paste. Guess no. Okay. I must have done something wrong. But what we'll do is we will just call it Student DLL. Okay, and then student is here, and this will be in Student DLL. So, and then this final one, we will put this in the Student DLL namespace. Now, if we try to compile it this time, it won't work. What we need to do first is we need to have a reference from our GUI over to our dynamic link library. The way we create a reference, just right-click on References, say Add Reference, and under Project Solution, just click Student DLL, and it will say OK. Now, again, we're almost there, but not quite. We have to do one more thing. So if we look at the code for the main GUI class that we're compiling, we will say View Code. And what we need to do, right now we could reference all of these classes, but we would have to fully qualify them with the name Student DLL first. But since we don't want to do that, we'll just say using Student DLL with a semicolon, and then we don't have to fully qualify the names. So if we run the program now, it works just like it did before. So the steps are, number one, create a new project, a class library project, name it something meaningful, copy all of the, or cut and paste all of the classes that you want from grading over to Student DLL. Now remember, don't mess with the form. Forms are GUIs and they belong on the executable. They don't belong out here in a DLL. And then copy them over. Then the next thing is to change the namespace to the namespace of your class library. And finally, set both a reference. So we want to set both a reference, and see we have a Student DLL as one of our references. So we want to set a reference, and we want to set using in our main form so that it will use that. So it's pretty simple and straightforward to move these things over.